thank the Leader of the House.
Mr Speaker, I seek your indulgence to take this opportunity to make a few remarks on my impending retirement.
Yes, the Leader of the House may proceed.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, to the chagrin of a few and the joy of many, maybe even some in this place, I'm retiring from the Australian Parliament. In April 28, 1992, I was pre-selected for Sturt. The opening lines of my speech were, in 1966, after 17 years, Sir Keith Wilson handed Sturt over to his son Ian. Now, 26 years later, it's time to change again. Of course, I went on to win that pre-selection. Mr Speaker, after almost 27 years, it's time for renewal in Sturt again. I'd like to thank the Liberal Party in South Australia and in Sturt for giving me the opportunity to carry the Liberal banner in this seat for 9 elections for over a quarter of a century. They're a wonderful group of people. The Liberal Party in South Australia and nationally can be a rambunctious group of people at times, but I believe in the party and I always will. Like the member for Grayndler, I'm a team man. I just happen to go for the team that it's the election-winning machine, Mr Speaker. I'd also like to thank the electors of Sturt. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve you and the privilege of representing you. I'm confident that I leave my seat and the great state of South Australia in good shape. I'm sure that the Liberal Party's candidate and my good friend James Stephens will retain Sturt at the coming election. And I have every confidence that the Prime Minister will lead the coalition to victory in the election in May. I'd also like to thank my dozens of staff over the years. We all know in this place that they're like a second family to us. They allow us to shine and they help pick up the pieces when we crumble a little. I'd also like to thank my family, my wife Carolyn, my children Eleanor, Barnaby, Felix and Aurelia, as well as my extended family. We are a tight-knit group. My family have been with me every step of my political career. I volunteered, but they were conscripted, yet they supported me willingly and graciously. Mr Speaker, since 1993 I've been a backbencher for 10 years and a frontbencher for 16, in Cabinet for 6 years and a leadership group for 10, in government for 17 and opposition for 9, which is a good balance. That places me as the longest-serving non-Labor member of the House of Representatives from South Australia since Federation. 4 Prime Ministers have appointed me to their executives, and Prime Ministers Abbott, Turnbull and Morrison chose me to be their Leader of the House. I am going to miss the stage of the dispatch box that it gives you for some amateur thespianism, Mr Speaker. Some of my favourites, this bloodied dagger masquerading as a speech from the member for Grayndler. I'd back the member for Corio in a fast-moving butter knife fight any time, which I assume he won that butter knife fight, Mr Speaker. I fixed it, for which I thank Sky for giving me a moniker which I have not been able to shake. As Minister for Defence and Defence Industry, I've been responsible for delivering the $200 billion build-up of Australia's military capability, the largest in Australia's peacetime history, which at the same time we've used to fundamentally reshape our strategic industrial base. These are the largest Navy, Air, Army and cyber projects in 75 years, and with the other members of the National Security Committee created the Pacific Step-Up to support Australia's strategic position in the South Pacific. Whomever follows me in this role will be the luckiest person in the government. To be a Minister for Defence in the defence portfolio is to see Australians at their best. Our Australian Defence Force and all who enable them to use their capability are one of the greatest attributes of our country's history and our national character. Beyond the defence portfolio, I'm proud to have delivered the National Innovation and Science Agenda, reformed the national curriculum, introduced compulsory literacy and numeracy testing for Australian teaching graduates and expanded phonics teaching in remote schools in Northern Australia with Noel Pearson. But I am particularly grateful that the Youth Mental Health Initiative that I created in 2006, Headspace, has gone on to thrive and become a fixture in the mental health sector. Mr Speaker, in a few weeks my political career comes to an end. Franklin Delano Roosevelt said a long time ago, the test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those that have much, but whether we provide enough to those who have little. I've tried to keep that creed as my lodestar throughout my career. Because, Mr Speaker, I've had a fortunate life. I don't have a log cabin story like so many people in this place. Although I once did have to get my own lemon for a gin and tonic, which I'm... that may or may not qualify, Mr Speaker. As the Psalms say, to those whom much is given, much is expected. And I've always believed that those who've had great opportunities have a responsibility to work to give others the same opportunities. But finally, Mr Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleagues on all sides of the House. I once described the House of Representatives as being my natural habitat. You're all my fellow species in this unnatural place. This place brings out the best of us, and it brings out the worst in us. I've seen some truly dreadful people come through here over the last quarter of a century, Mr Speaker. That's true, though. But I've seen so many more outstanding people, Mr Speaker, including my current colleagues. Something drives us all to get here. In most cases, it's a fierce competition internally within our parties and then in the campaign. But we are driven on nonetheless. Because, my friends, we know, each one of us, that to get the chance to influence the society in which we live, to make a difference in the lives of our fellow citizens, is worth the sacrifices. To be part of politics is to be part of history, and no one can take that away from any one of us. For decades, I've carried a little card around in my wallet that has written on it these lines that Plutarch once wrote about Pericles and the lives of the Athenians. Virtue in action immediately takes such hold of a man that he no sooner admires the deed than he sets out to follow in the footsteps of the doer. We've all followed in the footsteps of great deed doers, men and women who've assisted Australians to build a great nation. As the member for Warringah is fond of saying, you win the lottery of life when you're born in Australia, and everyone around the world knows it. And that didn't happen by accident. It happened because of good governments and good men and women trying to do their best. I've relished the opportunity to attempt great deeds in the one forum that in our democracy allows every Australian the chance to do so, the House of Representatives. Thank you, goodbye and good luck.
The Manager of Opposition Business.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. If I may, on indulgence, for years, every election, a conversation goes through the Labor Party, can we stop Pyne from winning Sturt? This was not the preferred method, I have to say, and the Leader of the House is someone who has always loved the parliament, and there will be times when, for all of us, the debate gets vicious and because the issues we're dealing about are real. But I think the Leader of the House has probably been better than almost any of us at having moments where a bit of grace and a bit of levity is thrown in. He referred to the stage of this parliament. I don't think anyone sees it as a stage quite the way the Leader of the House does, and I don't think anyone uses it that way. I should, quite as effectively, I should let the Leader of the House know I had organised today, and they're still up there, the scriptwriter and cast of the play How to Rule the World, which is actually set here, and I thought they could treat this as an audition. There's a couple of roles for your next career that'll be spot on, absolutely spot on. There's a when people are critical, and because of our roles in the front line, you get people who don't know the other being deeply critical. And I always respond with respect to the Leader of the House by quoting The Shawshank Redemption, where someone is critical of a character called Brooks and Morgan Freeman responds, "Brooks ain't no bug, he's just institutionalised." And there is a point to which, as it's described, the walls that are around us, first you hate them, then you get used to them, enough time passes and you depend on them. I wish you well. We really wish you well. Whatever the next part of your career involves, I remember when Albo's book came out, Bob Hawke took great delight in quoting the Leader of the House saying, "My only friend in the Labor Party is Albo." In the Parliament. In the Parliament. You said in Parliament. Now that you're leaving, it'll be easier to have a whole lot more. And it is the case that whatever you go to next, both Albo with the show you've shared with him on today, the high-rating, potentially Logie-winning show of Pyne and Miles, which will be a disaster for Sky for you not to be appearing on that. But wherever your career takes you, particularly if you are there at an awards night, receiving a Logie or some award for a future theatrical performance, please remember we were all there with you at the beginning. Good luck.
I'll just make a couple of remarks. I don't want to detain the House, but Christopher and I have been friends for a long, long time. And before we met, I was told that I needed to hate him. But obviously found that impossible. And we became friends. We've shared a lot together over the years, the ups and downs of politics and the challenges that all of us face in here. But the Manager of Opposition Business made a very important point, that through that he's never lost his grace and he's certainly never lost his sense of humour. Even under the most incredible pressure, you referred to Labor trying to win Sturt, and in 2007 you probably had your best chance. In fact, Channel 9, I think they shredded you on election night, didn't they? They put you through the shredder. And the count was occurring. It was very obviously late in the evening after Prime Minister Howard had conceded, and there were obviously mixed feelings in my electorate. My supporters were thrilled that we'd retained the seat with a strong margin, but obviously very disappointed with the overall result. And I think probably because of the time difference, Christopher, you rang me quite late, and there were about 4 or 5 people left and we're cleaning up, and I saw your name come up on the phone, and I just hit the speaker button and all I heard was, "I'm alive." And I think it was about 5 to 12, and I thought in those circumstances that really summed it up. Congratulations. We won't be seeing you here, but your friends will see you around, and we really do wish you the best in the next chapter of your life. Really do.